Hello, welcome. Today I will talk about experience editor-friendly components. My name is Robert Senktas. I'm Sitecore MVP, and I'm working as Sitecore architect in SoftServe. You can find me on the Twitter under the nick Robson Automator. You can also find some of my posts on my blog, let's share Senktas.net, and you can find my Sitecore installation module on the GitHub. Agenda for today's presentation is quite simple. We will talk what is how to build Sitecore experience-friendly components. The second point is why we should build this kind of components. And at the end, I will talk how to build experience editor-friendly components. The first why is that we would like to make content authors happy. That's why we should build experience editor-friendly components. The second reason is we would like to make content authors more productive and make their job easier. And at the end, we also write a lot of user guides. And finally, in our issue tracking system, we have issues that how to do this or how to do that. That's why we should focus on creating components that will be easy to use by content authors. And they can easily understand how to use them, how to apply them, how to configure them. Okay, how? In Sitecore, we have two ways. We can use out-of-the-box features, and we can do this by configuration, and we can also extend Sitecore and provide our own implementation that could help us build better components for content authors. The first thing, catch me if you can. We should, exceptions by his nature are something that is unexpected. And we are working with content management system. So we can take care about a lot of things if content author do not provide some content, if some component is not configured, if template or data source is missing, then we can manage the situation, just not throw the exception, but display some useful message what content author should do. The next thing. When we work with CMS, some parts of CMS can be missing. So the second rule is that components shouldn't render empty HTML tags. Because if content author do not provide any value for the field, then the whole HTML markup shouldn't be rendered on the page, because it costs. For example, if you have 1 million of visitors and you need to send 1 kilobyte more, it's cost and it's have influence on performance of the server. The next thing is that components don't use static text. Sitecore is a multi-language solution. So we should be able to translate each text used by our components. And many times also developers have a problem with provide the proper, for example, error message. That's why they should use, for example, dictionary, and then content author or copywriter can provide better description how content authors should solve the problem with the component. If we don't need to translate text in experience editor, then we just should use dictionary extension, and if we would like to provide a way to make translation of field, we should use dictionary field. Okay, now I will show you a few use cases how experience-friendly components should be done. Each experience editor component should explain how to use them. Component should allow to configure this component in Experience Editor. And finally, component should show the final result, what will be displayed on the web page. First use case, video player. It's really simple component where we just need to put the video ID that will be embedded on the site. But what could be wrong with this component? For example, someone can do not configure data source, or someone could remove this data source. And then please do not show exception, but just display user-friendly message, for example, no data source selected for video player component. The second thing, if data source is configured properly, we need to enter video ID. Then we should also display user-friendly message what content editor should do. We can also embed some images to present how to configure each feature. And finally, for example, in Experience Editor, we don't know to display this video, but we should inform content editor, content author that if he or she would like to see the video, he should switch Experience Editor to the preview mode. So, short summary, don't display empty component or exceptions, inform what is wrong, inform how to configure the video, and inform, for example, why video is not displayed. Next use case. Here is blog page, and on the left side we have component to display information about the blog author. We would like to provide the opportunity to choose author from the Sitecore, from the system. It's called our internal author. And occasionally we would like to provide information how to we would like to provide information about external author who is not in our system. And how we should do this. For example, we can create simple HTML markup and display information that you should click here to choose internal author. And how we should achieve that? We can check if our page is in Experience Editor mode. Then we can use edit frame to display frame for editor, and put some inside this frame. We can choose. We can display information and instruction for the content editor. And then, if content author will choose the proper author, we should display all information about the author from the system. Exactly in the same way how it will be rendered on the page. Experience buttons. This is the most popular answer during interview when I ask Sitecore developer how you can improve content editor components to be more Experience Editor friendly. The answer is always experience buttons. Experience buttons can be added on the component level. You don't need any code changes to implement this. This is just configuration of the button in the core database. And experience buttons are useful to edit component fields that are not directly related to the section in the view. The next thing is edit frames. Some developers don't like it, but this edit frame has a big advantage for me because they are close to the edited content as possible. Because experience buttons are on the component level, but edit frames are exactly in that place where you need to edit something. And Small disadvantage is that you need to implement this using edit frame. The next thing that you can use to make content editors' life easier, you can use HTML snippets. You can configure them like experience buttons and edit frames in the core database. If you configure them, they are visible in rich text editor. The next thing that you can use to provide some useful information for the content editors are notification and errors in content editor and in experience editor. This is quite useful to implement it because you have to write your own pipeline, put your logic there, and just register this pipeline through the patch file. Okay, the next thing is that you can find a lot of useful modules created by the Sitecore community, and I will show you, I will present you 3 modules. The first one is field editor for rendering parameters. This module was written quite time ago by Adam Kohn. The next one is inline forms for Sitecore 9 by Tomasz Juranek. And the last module is lazy developer module by me. Using experience buttons, you cannot edit other fields than fields connected with the item. For example, if you would like to edit some rendering parameters or rendering properties, you have to choose it from the menu, and it takes some time and sometimes is not easy to find by content authors. With this module, you can quite easily add the experience button and configure this button to show rendering properties. You can select some fields that should be edited when we click this button, or we can choose the whole sections. The next example is inline forms. It's Sitecore module created by Tomasz Juranek, and with this module you can very easy embedded Sitecore forms directly to the rich edit component. Tomek should provide small improvement here because as you can see on the small demo, you need to know the GUID of the form, which is not convenient. Here should be some small list where content editors, for example, can choose by the name form that should be displayed on this page. And the last one module is lazy developer module. This is a PowerShell extension module. Because as you know, if you would like to add experience button, field editor button, or HTML snippet, you have to configure, we have to switch the core database. You have to remember where you should add this button and what template should be used, what fields should be configured. You also have to remember fields that you would like to edit and put as a configuration, for example, for experience button. That's why I developed small PowerShell extension, and with this extension you don't have to switch Sitecore to the core database. You don't need to remember where to add a new item, and when you choose the item, you can easily choose the fields that you would like to edit with experience editor button or HTML or field editor button. A lot of developers also don't use features to provide help for the fields. With help fields, for each item you can provide more detailed description about the purpose of each field, or for example, here we can see the field for format date, and we can provide some examples and how this date will be formatted, what values are allowed, and we can also provide a link to the help. So if this is how it will look on the item level when we configure help fields, right? If we click on the help field, then we can jump to the page with the help. And here above the field, we can display information what tokens we can use for format date. The second thing that we can provide, we can build help inside Sitecore. And with this, we don't need to provide user guide, but we can build help inside Sitecore with just simple HTML pages to describe some things regarding our solution. So for example, we can use queries how to configure SEO tags on the page. We can provide one page how to, for example, edit data sources. And everything will be inside Sitecore. So we don't, and we can easily configure the links to our help site, to our help pages. And if content editor needs some advice or would like to find information how to use component, he can just click on the link help and can read this. And it's very easy. You cannot provide, you cannot spend a lot of time to implement it. You can use default Sitecore templates and layouts, just modify them a little bit. Because to provide help, you just need HTML rich editor text. You can put some images there, some text. They can look quite beautiful, and everything will be inside Sitecore. So content editor don't need to find user guides, but just can click and read. Okay, here's small summary, what the developer can implement for content author and what content author can expect from developers. The first thing is don't throw the exceptions. If you can, handle them and provide useful information. Don't render empty HTML tags. Don't use static text. Use dictionary. Use help fields. Use edit frames. Use experience editor buttons. Use HTML code snippets. Inform user on each level how to use and how to configure the component. And finally, use rendering parameters. Okay, thank you for your attention. Thank you for your attention. Bye.